Most people think courtroom skills are only for lawyers, but the truth is we face a courtroom every single day. Not with judges and juries, but with people with pressure, with situations that demand calm thinking, clear speaking, and controlled emotions. And the ones who win in life are not always the loudest, but the most prepared. Today, I want to show you something powerful through courtroom skills that can change your daily life. Skills that help you speak with confidence, stand your ground without aggression, and lead conversations instead of losing them. Because the courtroom isn't just a place, it's a mindset. In a real courtroom, the first person to get emotional is the first person to lose. But outside the courtroom, in real life, people do the opposite. They speak fast, they react fast, they defend too soon, and they regret too late. Most arguments are not lost because of bad logic, but because of bad timing. The power begins when you pause. Thinking before reacting doesn't make you weak, it gives you the upper hand. In pressure moments, your first thought is often emotional, your second thought is logical. The courtroom skill is to wait for the second thought. That tiny pause is your strength. When someone tries to provoke you, they expect immediate fire. They expect you to defend yourself instantly. But when you slow down your reactions, you take control of the entire conversation. This is what expert lawyers do in a courtroom. They don't rush to reply. They listen fully. They take a breath. They measure their words. And the person who measures their words always leads the room. Think about the last time someone made you angry. Did you think first or react first? Your reaction creates your outcome. If someone shouts and you shout back, now you're just like them. If someone attacks and you defend immediately, they lead the situation and you follow it. But when someone pushes you and you don't move, they get uncomfortable. Because power is not proven through reaction. Power is proven through restraint. When you pause before reacting, you give your mind space to see more options. Emotion offers you only one option, fight or run. Logic gives you many. You see the strategy, you see the weakness in their words, you see what they are trying to do. In daily life, you will meet people who don't want solutions. They just want reaction. They want to drag your energy down. They want you to prove yourself to them. They want you to respond on impulse so they can pull you into meaningless drama. But here's a courtroom skill. Not every question deserves an answer. Not every push deserves resistance. And not every comment deserves attention. When you react emotionally, you lose control of your narrative. When you wait, listen, and then speak with clarity, you earn respect without asking for it. When someone says something offensive, pause for 2 seconds. Those 2 seconds change everything. In those 2 seconds, your brain rewrites the response. Instead of defending yourself, you can now redirect. Instead of reacting to emotion, you can respond with intention. A calm pause shifts the power to you. Silence can feel awkward, but awkward silence is better than emotional regret. In courtrooms, lawyers use silence as a weapon. They ask a question and wait. They let the silence press the other person. And the more uncomfortable the other person becomes, the more they reveal. That is a skill you can use every day. When you don't react immediately, people reveal their real intentions, their real mindset, their real fear. Your silence lets the truth come out without you saying a single word. Thinking before reacting also protects your relationships. Most arguments between friends, partners, and family don't happen because of what was said, but how it was said. If you can master tone and timing, you can handle any situation. A strong response doesn't need to be loud. A powerful answer doesn't need to be fast. Confidence isn't speed. Confidence is clarity, and clarity comes after thinking. When emotions are high, intelligence is low. That is why one sentence spoken calmly can be stronger than 10 shouted in anger. Your calmness is your credibility. Your silence is your strategy. Your pause is your power. The next time someone tries to pull you in a drama, ask yourself one simple courtroom question. What outcome do I want? If your goal is to win an argument, you'll react fast. If your goal is to win respect, you'll reply slow. If your goal is to protect your peace, you might not reply at all. Thinking before reacting gives you control over the outcome. Your response decides your result. Your energy is expensive. Spend it wisely. Not every battle deserves your effort. Not every critic deserves your reply. Not every comment deserves your reaction. Courtroom skill number 1 is simple but life-changing. Slow your reaction, hear everything. React to almost nothing. And respond only when it serves your purpose. When someone does something petty, they expect an emotional reaction. Give them a calm one. When someone tries to dominate your mood, don't fight, observe. When someone pushes your buttons, act like you don't have any. That's how respect is earned. Strength isn't loud. Power isn't rushed. A calm person walking into a chaotic room controls the room without saying a word. The one who pauses wins. The one who thinks first chooses the direction of the conversation. People will talk differently to you when they notice you don't respond emotionally. They will measure their words. They will step carefully. They will adjust their tone because your calmness sets the temperature of the room. And people always adjust to the temperature you set. This skill can save your energy, protect your relationships, and earn you silent authority. It's not about ignoring your emotions. It's about mastering them. Your feelings are valid, but your reactions must be chosen. When you take a breath before responding, you give wisdom a chance to speak. That is how courtroom professionals win cases. And that is how you win in conversations, conflicts, and everyday life in a courtroom. The person who asks the right questions controls the conversation. They don't overpower anyone with volume, they lead with direction. The same skill can be used in daily life. Instead of defending yourself all the time, try asking questions. Instead of reacting to every statement, guide the conversation with curiosity. When someone is emotional and loud, questions lower the noise and raise the logic. Because questions don't attack people, they challenge their thinking. And when you shift someone from emotion to thinking, you instantly take charge of the moment. Even in heated arguments, questions act like brakes. They slow things down, they make people think. And when people think, they become easier to deal with. The most powerful courtroom skill is to ask targeted questions that make the other person reveal their intention. Not every question should be answered, but every situation can be controlled through the right questions. Think about your life. How many times have you defended yourself when you didn't even need to? How many times did you try to explain yourself to someone who had already made up their mind? The courtroom skill is this. When you feel pressure, don't justify a question. If someone accuses you, ask them to clarify. If someone makes a bold claim, ask them how they know. If someone is angry at you, ask what their goal is. Questions don't make you weak, they make you the judge of the situation. When you start asking questions, people start rethinking their position. They realize they can't push you emotionally because you are not reacting, you're investigating. And investigation is power. The biggest mistake people make in conversations is assuming they must answer everything. That's not true. Judges don't answer, they listen. Lawyers don't defend, they direct questions. You don't have to prove yourself in every conversation. You only need to reveal intentions. And the best way to do that is through simple but effective questions like, what do you mean by that? Why are you telling me this? What outcome do you want? These questions don't start fights. They expose hidden motives. When people feel seen, they act differently. When people feel challenged, they act carefully. When people know they cannot control your emotions, they change their tone. That is what questions do. They create awareness without aggression. Asking the right questions also protects you from manipulation. Some people don't argue to solve problems. They argue to drain your energy. They use emotional language to control your reaction, but when you shift from emotion to logic, they lose control. If someone tries to guilt trip you, ask them what solution they prefer. If someone blames you without facts, ask them where the evidence is. If someone gives opinions as facts, ask them to specify what they actually want. You'll notice something interesting. When you ask focused questions, people answer less and reveal more. They start thinking about what they're saying. They realize they can't just throw words and expect you to react. Your questions act like a mirror. They reflect their own words back to them. That reflection changes everything. This skill also improves your relationships. Arguments are usually not about facts, they're about feelings. When someone is upset, asking the right question can help them open up instead of shutting down. A simple, what's really bothering you, is better than defending yourself for 30 minutes. Questions soften tension, they calm storms. They bring people back to logic. In courtroom terms, questions turn chaos into evidence. When someone feels heard, they stop fighting. When someone feels understood, they stop shouting. But understanding doesn't come from talking, it comes from asking. That's why in daily life, you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You just need to be the one who asks the smartest questions. When you feel attacked, your instinct is to speak. But sometimes silence and one well-placed question are more powerful than any defense. If someone keeps criticizing you, ask them, what would you do differently? If they cannot answer, they have no standard. If someone tries to push their opinion as a fact, ask them, what makes you think that? Now they must think. When they start thinking you are in control, lawyers use this strategy to dismantle arguments. They don't fight emotion with emotion. They fight emotion with clarity. And clarity comes from questions. The one who asks questions leads the conversation. The one who leads the conversation controls the outcome. People often misuse this skill by turning questions into sarcasm or mockery. That's not power. That's insecurity. True courtroom questions are calm, neutral, and direct. They're not used to embarrass someone, but to reveal truth. The tone is everything. A question is not about attacking someone, it's about understanding the situation better. And when you understand, you make better decisions. Questions give you information. Information gives you perspective. Perspective gives you control. That is why the most confident people don't rush to respond. They gather information first. They collect the facts. They check the intention behind the words. Winning isn't always about speaking well. Sometimes it's about listening cleverly. In life. You will meet people who talk loud but think small. You will meet people who debate for ego, not for solutions. You will meet people who want reaction, not conversation. Questions help you separate the noise from the truth. If someone wants to argue, let them speak and then ask a question. They will either calm down or expose themselves. Either way, you win without fighting. In a courtroom, questions are used to lead someone to their own realization. In daily life, this same method can protect your peace and your time. You don't need to correct everyone. You don't need to convince everyone. You just need to understand who deserves your energy and who doesn't. And questions reveal that faster than explanations ever will, the right question asked at the right time is more powerful than the loudest speech. It doesn't require strength, it creates strength. It doesn't force control, it gives control. The person who asks questions doesn't chase respect, they earn it silently. And when you master this skill, conversations change, conflicts shrink, and your presence gains authority without effort. Because in the courtroom of daily life, your words don't have to be many, they just have to be smart. And questions are one of the smartest tools you can ever use. In every courtroom, the strongest voice is not the loudest one, it is the calmest one. Calm authority is a presence. It is a tone that settles the room instead of trying to dominate it. It doesn't rush. It doesn't chase attention, it earns it quietly. You don't gain power by overpowering people. You gain power by staying grounded when others are losing control. The way you speak creates the way people treat you. If your tone is shaky, people doubt you. If your tone is aggressive, people resist you. But if your tone is calm and steady, people listen. Calm authority is not about volume, it's about certainty. It is when your words carry weight because your emotions remain stable. That is why judges don't shout, they lead with presence. That is why effective lawyers don't rush, they choose words wisely. In daily life, calm authority can change how people respond to you, how conflicts end, and how respect is earned. Calm authority is not silence, it is direction. It is the art of guiding a conversation instead of defending yourself in one. To speak with authority, you don't need more words, you need clear ones. Short, precise statements carry more gravity than long explanations. People often think confidence means having all the answers. But confidence is not having all the answers. It is believing that you can find the right answer when needed. That belief shows in your tone. You don't have to prove yourself when you speak, you just need to stay composed. When emotions rise, logic disappears. When logic disappears, bad decisions appear. Calm authority protects you from making decisions you later regret. A calm voice delivers strength that people don't want to fight. They may disagree with your opinion, but they cannot ignore your presence. And presence always speaks louder than volume. When someone confronts you in anger, the worst thing you can do is match their energy. If you do, you lose control of the outcome. But when you speak calmly, you instantly change the power dynamic. You show that they cannot pull you into their storm. Your calm becomes their mirror. They adjust their tone because yours sets the standard. You don't win by pushing harder, you win by standing stronger. In a courtroom, if two people start shouting, the judge doesn't join them. The judge simply says two words, "Order, please." That calm voice holds more power than 1,000 arguments. In daily life, you don't need to shout to be heard. You just need to be certain in your tone. That certainty comes from emotional control. And emotional control is the foundation of calm authority. Speaking with calm authority also helps you negotiate better. When people hear panic in your voice, they sense weakness. When people hear anger, they sense defensiveness. But when your voice is steady, people sense strength. They listen differently. They respect differently. They respond differently. This is not about acting robotic. It is about staying centered. Your mind works best when it's calm. You see more options, you make better decisions, you communicate more clearly. The calmer you are, the more persuasive you become. Because persuasion is not about pushing your words, it's about shaping your presence. Your presence is what people remember long after the conversation ends. They may forget your exact words, but they will remember how your words made them feel. Calm authority makes people feel safe, and safety builds trust. There will be moments when people try to make you feel small. They will challenge your confidence. They will put pressure on you. In those moments, don't rush your words. Breathe first, ground yourself, and then speak slowly. Courtroom professionals are trained to slow down their speech under pressure. The slower they speak, the more control they gain. Speed creates anxiety. Calmness creates clarity. When your voice slows down, your thoughts settle down. That is when your intuition starts working. That is when your logic returns. That is when you make decisions that serve you, not decisions that satisfy your emotions for a temporary moment. In daily life, calm authority helps you separate your feelings from your response. You still feel, but you choose how to express what you feel. Speaking calmly doesn't mean accepting disrespect. Calm authority can also set firm boundaries. The difference is that boundaries spoken with anger usually escalate the situation. Boundaries spoken with calm certainty end the situation. If someone crosses a line, you don't need to shout the line. You simply state it clearly. I don't continue conversations when the tone becomes disrespectful. Or let's talk when both of us are calm. That kind of language carries weight because it comes from control, not chaos. It does not attack the other person. It protects your peace. And when people see that your peace is not easily shaken, they begin to treat it with more care. Calm authority demands respect without requesting it. It stands tall without raising its voice. Your tone doesn't just affect others, it affects you. When you speak with calm authority, your nervous system feels safer. Your thoughts become clearer. Your decisions become wiser. And your actions become purposeful. You can't control how people speak to you, but you can control how you speak back. That decision shapes the energy of every situation you face. The world rewards emotional maturity. The more composed you are, the more influence you naturally gain. People will start asking for your opinion. They will start seeking your advice. They will see you as someone who doesn't just speak, but someone who leads. Leadership is not about volume, it is about stability. It is about how you hold your ground when others are losing. There's picture two people arguing loudly. Now imagine a third person walks in and speaks slowly, clearly, and calmly. Immediately the atmosphere changes, the temperature drops, the energy shifts. That third person didn't arrive with force, they arrived with presence. That presence is what calm authority builds over time. It is not a skill you use only when needed. It is a character you develop daily. Speak slower, think deeper, listen fully, and when needed, speak firmly but peacefully. That balance is rare. That balance earns trust. That balance earns respect. In a courtroom and in everyday life, the most effective communicator is not the most emotional, but the most composed. And the more composed you become, the more control you have over situations that once controlled you. People often think they need to fight harder to be heard, but sometimes they simply need to speak better. Calm authority does not silence your strength, it shapes it. It doesn't suppress your emotions, it directs them. When you master your tone, you master your presence. And when you master your presence, you master the moment. The goal is not to win arguments. The goal is to walk through life with clarity, confidence, and controlled energy. In a world full of noise, calm authority stands out. In a world full of reaction, calm authority leads. And in every courtroom of daily life, the person who speaks with calm authority doesn't just get heard, they get remembered.